All right, guys, so what I want to do now is set up basically like a little alert system. And if we go ahead and search here without entering anything, I want to show an alert. So let's start off in search.js and go to our onSubmit. So underneath the prevent default, let's just say if, so when the form is submitted, we'll say if this.state.text is equal to an empty string, then we're going to want to set an alert. So I'm going to say this.props, and we're going to have a method called setAlert that's going to take in two things. It's going to take in the text, which will say please enter something, and then it's going to take in a type, which could be danger for red or success. I'm just going to say light because I want it to be a gray color. I don't want it to be the red color because our nav bar is red. And then we'll do an else, and then we'll just take this and move this up into the else. Okay. Now, just like with the rest of our props, we need to first of all add it here. So we'll say set alert prop. Actually, let's do PTF. Like that, and then in our app.js, in our search, we're going to add set alert, and this is going to get a lot cleaner when we add context and hooks and stuff like that later. So we want to set this to let's set this equal to this dot set alert, like that. And then we'll create this. Let's see, we'll go right under clear users. So, I mean, this isn't the best way to do things without using state management, because we're using, we're sending props up and down and stuff like that. And it looks a little messy, but I think that doing it this way is better than having everything in separate components. At least all of our methods that deal with state and our state are all in this one main app component. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's say set alert, and we'll say set alert, and it's going to take in two things, the message and the type, and we'll set this as an arrow function. And we're going to have in our state, we're going to add another piece of state called alert. All right, now this alert is going to be, I'm going to set it to null by default. And when we have an alert, when we set one, it's going to be set as an object with a message and a type. So let's say this dot set state, and we want to set the alert to an object with a message, which is going to be the message that's passed in, and a type, which is going to be the type that's passed in. And that should do it. Now, this isn't going to display it. This is not going to display anything. It's simply going to put the alert into the state. So let's actually see if that works. If we go to our React Dev Tools, and we look down here, you can see the alert is null. Now, if I try to submit this without typing anything, notice now something gets put in our alert. We get please enter something for the message, and we get light for the type. All right. In fact, since these are the same message, type, I can should be able to just do that, and that should do the same thing. So we get our message and type. All right. Now, the next goal is to get this displayed on the screen, right? So we need to have an alert component. So I'm going to put this in layout. So in layout, I'm going to create alert.js. And this is going to be a functional component. I'm going to do RACF. And it's going to take in the alert, okay, which is an object with the message and type. And we want to make sure that alert is not null in order to show this, or else it'll just show the background without the text and the, that stuff. So inside the return, let's actually get rid of this div, and we can say as long as alert is not equal to null, then we want to show a div. Let's give it a class. Actually, the class is going to be dynamic, so I'm just going to put a div here, and then let's say class name, and we're going to set this to some curly braces with backticks, because remember, there's a type, and the type can be danger, it can be light, dark, and so on. And if we look at my CSS file that I have here, you can see we have alert-light, alert-primary, dark, danger, success. So we can use these as the type, and it will use that background color. So in here, we want the class of alert, but we also want alert dash and then whatever the type is, which in this case we want to do alert.type, because that's getting passed in as a prop. And inside the div, we're going to have, let's just put an icon. I'm going to use a font awesome icon of fa-info-circle. And then next to that, we want the message. So we can say alert.msg. Okay, and that should be it. Now, we want to display this in our app.js. So let's go back to app.js and bring it in. So we'll import alert from components/layout/alert. And let's go down to our return and figure out where we want to put this. So we're going to go, let's see, right within the container. So above the search in the container. And we'll say alert. And then we want to pass in a prop of whatever the alert is in the state. So we'll say this.state.alert. Okay, so let's try that out. I'm just going to submit this without entering anything, and we get please enter something. Now, the issue we have here is this is not going to go away. If I click this again, well, actually, it's not going to do it again, but it's just not going away. If I search for something, it's just going to stay there. So what I like to do with alerts is just give it a certain amount of time and then remove it. So I'm going to go back to my app.js and go back to where I have set alert and basically just give it a certain amount of time and then make it disappear. And the way we can do that is with the set timeout method. So after we set the state, set the alert, let's do set timeout, which takes in a function. So we'll put in an arrow function, and then whatever we want to happen, which I just want to set the state of alert. So set state, and I want to set the alert value back to null, which is its original value, but I want this to happen in 5 seconds after we show the alert. So I'm going to put a comma here and put in 5,000 milliseconds, and you can change that if you want. So now what happens if we go and we click that, we get please enter something, but after 5 seconds it should go away. Okay? Now, if you wanted to, you could add an X button here or something like that, and you could add an event where you click it and then have have another method that will set the state, set the alert back to null. But I like this because we don't have to do that, and it just goes away on its own, so we don't have to worry about closing. All right, so we have this functionality down. The next thing I want to do is implement React Router, because when we have these users here, I don't want this button to just go to their GitHub profile. I want it to go to a separate page within our application where we can fetch more data and show it on a user page. Okay, so we're going to get to that next.